The following is a special presentation of the Minty Organization for the Performing Arts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Front Row Conversations. You know, we're getting a lot of great feedback on the announcement of our 10th anniversary celebration. And remember, we want all you alumni to come join in the festivities. So if you haven't emailed us or filled out the alumni sign-up form on our website, please do so today, either emailing us at mintyawards@mintys.org or going online at www.mintys.org. And I could not think of a better alumni to have this week than our guest tonight. From the great leading ladies to the hilarious character parts of the last 10 years, she certainly has done it all, has left us crying and laughing in the aisle, and along the way picked up 3 Minty Awards, including 2 for Outstanding Leading Actress. I am always thrilled to be in the presence of my guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, from the St. Joseph Hill Academy class of 2014, Ms. Summer Moran joins us now. Summer, how are
Hi.
you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me. It's my honor to be talking to you.
Well, it is an honor to be honored that you are talking to me. So let's start by going back to the beginning. 10 years ago, you were a timid, meek, shy little freshman at
Yeah,
St.
with
Joseph Hill.
crazy girls.
Yes. I'm sure we have some good blackmail photos that we could show throughout the night too for that. So how did you get involved? Well, obviously you come from, your lineage is of great acting on Staten Island. Your mother, of course.
Thank you.
Well, she is. And so is that how you got involved in acting to start with?
Yeah, definitely. I did my first play ever when I was 7, and I got to play my mom's child in A Midsummer Night's Dream. So that was just the beginning of the end, so to speak, because I got to be on stage with my favorite person in the whole world.
Well, that's very good. I hope she's hearing that. I hope she's watching to hear that beautiful
I hope
compliment
so.
at the beginning.
She'll be watching.
So now you go to Hill, and the first show that year is High School Musical.
Yes, very exciting because I'm a huge High School Musical fan. Like, that came out when I was 9 and it sucked me in. So it was really exciting to do it live for an audience.
And you were in the ensemble for that show.
Yes.
So, do you have any memories of that first Minties at Snug Harbor?
Well, I think that was the year that we won Outstanding Chorus. And so I was kind of like, I did that. I was a part of that. It all fell on my shoulders. No, I mean, that was like my first introduction to high school theater, of course. And that was a really special Minty Awards because I can still see the set in my mind's eye with all the different posters of each show. And we had High School Musical, and then I think C did High School Musical too. And those were like the bookends, if I remember correctly, of the posters. So that was like a really fun time. Yeah, good experience all the way around.
So your sophomore year now comes along, and Hill has announced that they are doing Annie.
Yes.
And so did you go in hoping for a certain part, or it just happened to fall in your lap?
Yes, I had seen Annie, everybody's seen Annie, but specifically the one from, I believe it's 1999, the film version, and Kristen Chenoweth played Lily St. Regis. And I was a huge Kristen Chenoweth fan, so I was like, I want to play that part. And it just worked out really beautifully. And I got to act opposite James McKeon and Victoria Volpe, just like super talented people who were 2 years my seniors. So it was like a little intimidating, but they have such amazing energy to play off of.
As do you. We're being honest here. So as I said to you before, I remember watching that show, sitting there in the audience and saying, this girl is fantastic. as I have no say in the outcome, but I said in that scene, I said, this girl's going to win something.
Oh.
And fast forward a little bit, we'll get to that in a minute. But did you do the Farrell show that year, or was still only the Hill show you were doing at the time?
Yes. This was my first year with the Farrell show, and it was a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. And that was like a very different experience for some reason. Just the way the rehearsals like flow and we had a massive cast, I'm pretty sure. So that's like the one thing I really remember from that was like lots of colors in the costumes and like a huge cast. How am I supposed to remember everybody's names?
There won't be a pop quiz, don't worry. So now you get nominated for Outstanding Featured Actress for your portrayal of Lily St. Regis, named after the hotel. And it's going to be at the St. George Theater. So if you have any memories of now that second Minty Awards, first at the St. George, being on that stage, being in the room with all those fools, and now you being performing in a featured part on the stage.
I have to say, that whole performance was like so electrifying and also terrifying because the historic St. George Theater is like a daunting place to perform. It's so big, it's so beautiful, and it has such a history behind it. But the one thing I distinctly remember from that evening is having my little red dress. I was sitting in the car with my mom, and she was driving me and Grace Mary Kaiser. And and my mom said something like, now Summer, if you win, you make sure, your shoulders are back, your posture's good. And I was like, Mom, I'm not gonna win. There's no way. And then as the category was being called, the orchestra played the intro to, I want to say, You're Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile. And my heart stopped because I was like, oh no, I have to make sure I have good posture now.
Do you remember anything about accepting that first award other than your posture?
Hardly. It was very bright. I remember that. And I remember thinking I should have prepared something.
Well, you won over your audiences that night as you did in the show. So you had one down and you still had a few more to go. So now let's go to junior year. And from, as I mentioned before, this was now your first leading lady that you were about to play, and the complete polar opposite of Lily in Nancy in Oliver. And I believe this show this was during Sandy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. We got pushed to, I think, like 2 weekends past what we were supposed to open. But we still got to do our show. So that I was really grateful for. And it gave us like 2 extra weeks of rehearsals.
So talk about doing a role like Nancy that is so different than what you would normally see on a high school stage and what you were accustomed to playing, and how that felt for you.
Well, it was the second show in a row that we had done about orphans. So it was a little heavier than Annie, of course. And it's a heavy role, and it has a lot of those big, belty, beautiful ballads, and preparing for it was a lot different than preparing for Lily St. Regis. I didn't go into it thinking I should make the audience cry, but I definitely did want to like move people and touch them in a way that you don't do in a traditionally comedic role.
And that you certainly did. And it was as you said, a darker show, but still so wonderfully done. And I guess Mr. Milio had a theme of orphans for those few years. So now, staying in the same year, though, we now go over to Farrell. And again, you go right back into your character part in the show that really everybody has talked about from those early years of the Minties. And of course, it's The Drowsy Chaperone. And you were Kitty, one of the gangsters, or I guess the producer's sidekick.
Yeah.
so to speak. So talk to us first about being in the show with what I still think was the greatest cast show that I've seen in these 10 years.
Everybody has said over and over, and I'm sure you've heard it over and over, but everybody was really perfectly cast. And everyone in that show embodied their character like so perfectly, acting wise, but also like as people. So that was like so serendipitous. You just don't get that in every cast and every show. And it was nice to return to a comedic role because that's where I thrive and that's what's most fun and most playful for me. And it was the second time in 2 years that I got to wear that blonde wig, and it's sitting right up here staring at me. And I will use it again in that time, a year later. But I mean, that show was just nonstop fun all the way around. Like there was never a dull moment and never a moment of wanting to be anywhere else.
Did you realize how special it was when you were doing it?
Yeah, I think the act one finale was kind of where even during rehearsals, we all like synchronized, I guess. And, you know, performing the choreography by the amazing Phil Colgan was just like so special. And I think everybody sort of ended up on the same frequency, for lack of a better phrase. And so at the time we realized it. And then when the show ended, of course, you get that like post-show sad. But the fact that it's still sort of topical all these years later, like goes to show how special it was.
So let's turn now to the Minties for that third year. You are nominated for both Kitty, but in the leading role of Nancy from Oliver. So let's talk about first the performances from that night, and what do you remember from Hill and Farrell's performance?
I remember singing a bit of As Long as He Needs Me, which is like such an awesome show-stopping type of number. And my hands were sweating so bad. And I was like, I haven't belted this song in 6 months. But it was amazing. And like hearing the roar of the crowd, the applause was so delicious, I'm gonna say. And then I think Farrell performed after Hill that year, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember for the Farrell performance being a lot more relaxed and just being able to like dance it out and not freak out about this solo moment. But again, like just that dance was so much fun and we were all so happy to be there. And that was the year I wore a big puffy blue dress. So I remember all my costumes pretty well.
So you win for leading actress. Do you remember anything of that speech for that year?
Actually, yes. I think that was, I want to say I said something really sweet and touching. And I don't know 100% if I did, because I black out when I give speeches. And that was like no exception. But I do remember immediately afterwards getting a little like gift bag. And I was like, ooh, this is going to taste good. And then taking a picture with Anthony Massa and just having a ball.
That's true. I felt we used to give out the little goodie bag, the little swag to the winners
Yes.
as they came off.
The swag was like my favorite part of the night.
That's the only reason you kept coming back and winning.
Swag, performing. That was basically the order of things.
So, and you know, and I've said it because we've had so many folks from those years, but there was just a high, just an energy for that year. And all the performances had it that I think we haven't recreated to that level. I mean, each year has been special and more special than others for some, but that year we were at peak.
Yeah, it was almost like there was something in the air that everybody was just getting this great big whiff of, and then like, boom, going right into it and having the best time.
And I think we are looking forward to recreating some of those numbers this August. So get your friends and get your casts back together for some of those shows.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, so now let's go to senior year. And you said the blonde wig makes one more appearance.
She does. Wow. And she's in such good shape still. I refer to all my wigs as she.
That's fine.
But yeah, this was Guys and Dolls and the perfect opportunity for Miss Adelaide. And that was like such a dream. Oh my gosh, that show is amazing. It's a classic. It's golden age. It's so perfectly musical theater. And I mean, all the shows that like I had done in high school were, but Guys and Dolls is like the creme de la creme to me of musical theater.
I agree, of that golden age musical with book, song, and dance.
Yes.
Yes.
Precisely. And, you know, I was acting with a bunch of my best friends at that time because, you know, you had Phil Buccigrossi, Grace Kaiser, Kieran Growlick. I mean, just really wonderful.
Show that was so well cast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, and you were again fantastic, especially at your lament.
Oh, thank you.
And then Farrell that year, you got to keep with actually, it was 2 Frank Lesser shows.
Yes.
Back to back.
Yes. And actually between those 2 shows, it wasn't in the Minties, but we did at Farrell Edwin Drood. And so that was like a quick little moment of exciting, fun musical theater in the Farrell lobby. And then we got to go on to How to Succeed.
I believe you had the creator of the musical attend.
Yes.
Shows.
I think about that like once a week. Because I was super sick during that performance. And I like messed up a couple of the lyrics and I apologized.
Were you Rosa?
Who was in it?
No,
I was, yeah. And I mean, I love the music. I think it's amazing. But I remember ruining one of the lyrics in my head and going, I have to apologize. I have to tell him I botched it. He's not, oh yeah, he'll notice. He'll definitely notice. So, but he was a delight and he was very sweet to us and like made this big speech afterwards, which was so great.
How did Monty get him there? Who was the connection?
I think Tim Coleman had a connection to Rupert Holmes, and either like his mom or his aunt, some woman in his family like knew Rupert Holmes.
That's fantastic. I remember when he came there, and for that, I mean, to have a Broadway star send you a message, a congratulatory message, but to have the creator of the work that you're performing be there, like you said, it's probably more nerve-wracking than it is exciting.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, like I look back on that and I'm still like, oh, that actually happened? That's awesome. Wow.
Well, good news for you that Frank Lesser died some 50 years ago because he wasn't coming to How to Succeed. But that is what Farrell did, though, your senior year. And of course, another perfect role for you, that classic musical theater ingenue, I guess you would call Rosemary.
Yes. And that was like a dream role. I have wanted to play that role since I saw Daniel Radcliffe in How to Succeed. And I just thought the girl playing Rosemary was like so stunning and it was such a great role. And then to be able to do that in senior year was like such a nice sort of swan song, if you will.
And again, great cast of Farrell players behind you. So now another 2 shows are in the Minties, you're nominated. The way the rules work is that if you're in the same category, you can only be nominated once. So you were chosen for Adelaide. And you go to the Minties, and I believe Guys and Dolls closed out the performance that year, or closed out the ceremony that year. It was the last school to perform. And you received your 3rd Minty Award, the first actress to win 3, and the second actress to win back-to-back awards. What are your remembrances of that 3rd ceremony, 4th overall, your 3rd win?
So that performance for Guys and Dolls was so I don't want to say it was so much fun, but it was, but I want to use like a better word than that. It was again like everything synced up everybody was so excited to be there. And we were so joyful, I think, in that performance. I remember just feeling super connected to everyone. And that performance itself was like, oh, so delicious and such a way to close out the ceremony.
I've never heard a performance characterized as delicious before. You've done it twice tonight, so I have to start referring to it as that. But yeah, it was the culmination of 4 years. That's the last time that you were performing as a high school student with your castmates.
Yeah, and so perhaps it was, a different feeling to me than to any other individual person up on that stage, but it felt really like tightly knit, it felt big and important. And, in high school, everything is big and important, but, this in particular. And I was just honored to walk away with a third Minty Award. I mean, that was incredible to me. It blew my mind, and it still does.
Now, you've said that the wig has a place of honor. I hope the Minties have a place of honor. I don't want you to answer that if it doesn't. So I'll pretend I want what I want the answer to be. Looking back, is there a favorite role of yours? One you had the most fun doing?
I think it's sort of a tie between Drowsy Chaperone and Guys and Dolls. The energy was like very similar for me personally, and it was just so special and so sweet all the way around. But like those two like meant a lot to me.
So now let's turn back the clock and let's go to that third Minty's ceremony. And you had mentioned to me before that your favorite Minty memory was a Drowsy Chaperone. So we'll see a little bit of Toledo Surprise, and then we'll see a little bit of As Long as He Needs Me, belting your heart out as Nancy, and then a little bit of your acceptance speech where, as you said, you spoke from the heart, but were blacked out at the time. Enjoy.
And it's so great to be here because this is where, you fit in. and it doesn't matter who you are. So just keep doing theater because it's where you're safe and everyone loves you, okay? Thank you.
Every single time I watch those performances, it just gets me more excited and the nostalgia pours in. So really, to go back to those performances. So again, congratulations to you, Summer, on
Thank you.
your achievements. So now, but at the end of that, Minties, you were the big fish in the small pond, but now you're kicked into the middle of Manhattan, and now all of a sudden you're the little fish in the big pond.
Yeah, it was like being a microscopic fish in the Pacific Ocean. Because everybody was in college to perform, and I ended up actually majoring in screenwriting and film production.
We mentioned the college first, if we can.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, you attended Marymount, yes?
Yes, Marymount Manhattan, on the Upper East Side, and it was beautiful. It was a dream. I actually remember walking in there and it felt like Hill, and that's how I knew it was the one. I love Hill. What can I say?
All right, so how did you get your major then? How did you make the switch?
I just sort of fell in love with 30 Rock actually towards the end of junior year and or beginning of senior year, and I was like, oh, Tina Fey is so cool. I want to do what she does. So I started applying for those types of programs, and I was still auditioning for, musical theater programs at schools, at Wagner, various places that would have been amazing to go to. But then when it came down to it, it was like, oh, I really feel so drawn to this other thing, and I can still pursue performance and have that in my life. So I kind of got to learn how to write, how to operate cameras, how to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that I might not have known how to do otherwise.
As you always seem to have been working on some projects, some shoots, some film that you're always posting about in college. What were some of your favorite projects that you did?
Well, I began working at the School of Visual Arts just as soon as I got to college, basically. And I was there as an actor. So I was kind of getting like my education at my school. And then I would head over to SVA and soak up their knowledge and learn from those teachers too, but I wasn't paying for it, which was amazing. And I did a lot of really intense student films that year, but I did my first professional job, which was supposed to be a web series, turned into a short film. I think it's in iTunes or the App Store somewhere. Don't quote me on that. But it was basically about a news network, a family-run news network. And I played this like Spitfire, like really angry, rageful, not goth, but like borderline goth sister. And she was a producer of the news network.
So
and
very true to form. No real acting involved in that role.
Oh, please. I mean, it was so different, and it was film, and it was like a different medium. So it was really cool and fun.
What was the hardest difference from going from obviously performing, trying to emote for 1,000 people to see and feel you at once, as opposed to a camera right up in your face? Was that the hardest thing to grasp?
Yes, and I definitely got told a few times that I was a little big. Could I take it down a notch? And also just, I think, being aware of when the camera is on you. I do remember the director once saying, Summer, can you react in this scene? And I was like, I didn't know I was even in the shot. I'm so sorry. But that was a huge learning experience. But for the most part, it was kind of like, all right, Summer, reel it in. And that was the theater actor, breaking out.
So will you get any residuals or royalties if we download this film?
I want to say yes, but I have no idea.
Oh, all right, so go read the contract and let us know, and then we'll go download it.
A 5-year-old contract.
So at the same time, though, you are still performing, as you said, and I think it's so important, like you said, for our current high school students to hear that want to pursue theater, but may be afraid of doing it professionally or committing to it as your professional major, that there are so many things that you can do and still do theater, either pursue it professionally while going for another degree or just on the side. And that theater helps in so many different aspects and so many different careers as well.
Absolutely. I mean, pursuing theater on the side as a career, what have you, is going to make you a more confident person. And I think a better person in a lot of senses. But I mean, I also got very lucky in that my parents were super supportive of anything I wanted to do. And I know not everybody has that luxury. So if you're going to college to be an engineer because you have enough of an interest in that, and that's kind of what your mom and dad want, but you still want to perform, there are so many outlets to do that, especially as we've seen with COVID, like online. And then as we come back to real life, there are plenty of studios, plenty of performance spaces. And if it makes you feel good, like, do more of that.
And you're absolutely right. I remember one fun thing that we did together was, which you had no recollection of until about 20 minutes ago, was we did a cabaret at the Gotham Comedy Club.
The Broadway Comedy Club.
Broadway, there is a Gotham. We weren't big enough for that one.
We're giving Gotham a plug. It's fine.
The Broadway Comedy Club, and you packed the house, and you had some guest entertainers, and I was happy to be there on the piano, and I think we had some exchanges, some
oh yeah,
us.
We had wonderful banter, but we also just have banter anyway.
Natural, yes. So no, that was a lot of fun as well. So what other performance ventures have you done?
Well, this was a while ago. So back in 2018, I was able to take the stage, a Staten Island stage once again, and I was in Barefoot in the Park, and I played Corey, and guess who directed it?
Would it be Kate the Great?
It would be Kate the Great. Yes. And I got to act opposite.
A mother, by the way, for those of you not familiar with the moniker.
I have a feeling everybody who's watching this is going to have.
Yes, probably.
No, who that is. But I got to work with Frank West and just really talented people in a lovely venue. So that was a dream. And I love my mom. I don't know if I've mentioned, but
I think you have. Your mother, though, and just again to show the power of high school theater, I met your mother, well, around the time that you were in high school still, but when we started focusing on the history of theater in the high schools and came across and started looking at all the work that Carl William Lesh had done at Peters and Moore and even Farrell. And your mother was at St. Peter's for a few of his shows. And just, again, there was that love there for not only Lesh, but also that experience of high school theater that she still carried with her some 20, 30 years, don't want to age her, but some X number of years after the fact, that she certainly passed on to you that, we hope we're doing at the Minties as well. So it was really great to see, all the prior generations have the experiences that I hope that we were creating for you guys.
Oh, you absolutely you are. And it's so memorable, even though, I said I blacked out a couple times, but it really truly is memorable. And I love hearing my mom talk about, her experiences in high school theater, and not like comparing them to mine, but being able to like share that and enjoy each other's experiences in that sense.
So so 2018, you said Barefoot in the Park. So what else have you, because I know you've also popped up on my phone from time to time.
Yes. So not that I took a step back from theater, but I was just doing so much more TV and film and got really into hosting. And I decided one day that I wanted to host a game show, and I had the opportunity to do that.
Oh, Jeopardy's looking. I don't know. Is that too out of...
Yeah, they're West Coast. I don't know if I can handle that.
Words for you in some of the categories.
Listen, I would kill as a Jeopardy host, but I think also I listen. Alex Trebek is a hard act to follow.
Yeah, well, very true. So, talk about the game show that you did host.
Yeah, I hosted a live mobile mini game show called Bop, and it was a really awesome experience. It was like every week or so. I was usually the host, and sometimes they brought in somebody else. But it was basically like you play games, you win money. And I would pop up between every level and just kind of say, hey guys, that was a great job. Let's see you do it again. And then I would report how many people we lost during the game, who was still in it. And then at the very end, all right, this is the person who won the jackpot. And it was so much fun.
How long did you do that for?
The summer of 2019. It would have carried on further, but I think things got a little bit tricky in terms of like funding. And that's something that
well, that is when you had, I forget the other all those apps that had the live game and cash component too.
Yes. It was very trendy for a while.
It was. So what have you been doing? Obviously, the last year with COVID and everything, what were you working on? What do you have coming up, hopefully in the future?
Well, despite the difficulties of COVID, I've been doing pretty well, in the sense that I have been making so many new connections with wonderfully talented people and doing a lot of like print modeling and hosting. Just the other day, I hosted a show for Discover Korea Live, which comes as a shock to most people, but I can't say too much about it. But it's for the Korean Tourism Organization. And that was a really lovely experience, beautiful set. And I'm excited to hopefully see that when it comes around. And I've been able to do print work for everything from Halloween costumes to Facebook to really bizarre, odd jobs. But that's part of the fun of this line of work, I think.
Oh, absolutely. See, and you never know what is going to be the job that makes that one connection.
Absolutely. And I really enjoy the unpredictability of things. And I know for a lot of people, they prefer to have a routine, but as a performer, you're constantly sort of being something different, of course, but you're constantly pulled in different directions, and it's fun and it's wild.
So looking back 10 years, what would you say to either little high school Summer or what you would tell our current high school students now? What advice do you wish you had given yourself?
I actually think about this a lot. And the answer always changes, but
today, right now, what is the answer?
Yeah, if I could stand in front of her right now, I'd probably say, work hard, but chill out. That's a big thing. Like I said, in high school, everything is big and important, and nothing is really that serious. So I think I would have her take it easy, be kind to herself. And that's kind of the same thing I would say to current high school students, whether or not you're pursuing theater or acting as a career. I think do everything that you do with enthusiasm and joy and love, and you'll have a great experience and it won't feel like work. And be kind to yourself, because that's something I'm noticing a lot of currently, is people kind of like, especially in the last year, beating up on themselves. And I just want everyone to feel as much love for themselves as I feel for myself and the people around me.
And that was always one of the goals and mission of the Minties to, I always say there's the award aspect of it, but it really is about showing how each one in that cast, each one is deserving of recognition and is important, from the chorus member to the leading lady. Because without all those components working together, you don't have a show.
Exactly. And I got to tell you, there's nothing like the Minties. I've never been a part of anything like the Minties before. So that will always be right here. This is my heart. So.
Well, I thank you for that. And like I said, I look forward to you joining us for the 10th anniversary celebration. Anything else before we wrap it up?
I'm just trying to think of what dress I'm going to wear to the 10th anniversary celebration. It's got to be something different.
It's going to be black tie requested. So we have to, we're going all out. There's no Mickey Mouse.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And thank you for having me. This has been such a great, wonderful trip down memory lane, and it's giving me the warm fuzzies. So,
Oh, well, that's my goal every Sunday night. So until next time, Summer, it was, you're always a treat, and it's always a joy to catch up with you. So I thank you. Congratulations on all your successes, and good luck on everything coming your way in the future. And thank you for joining us as always this week. We look forward to next week with another new guest. And until then, as always, don't forget on August 8th to
meet me at the Minties.
Good night, everybody.